Okay, as promised on yesterday, I told you all I had this document. So I'm doing something a little different for a while during this early voting time to try to provide information to those of you who have not gone out to the polls yet on some information that is constantly coming out. So I'm trying to stay current with different information that I'm finding. So listen to me closely. This is not done to try to persuade anyone. This is just done to inform you that you need to get out and vote. I can't tell anyone how to vote, but it is important here in Texas that you get out and early vote. So I'm doing these readouts with this document here. This document in my hands, so not just anything. This is very important. So I pray that people will take heed and listen to the information that I'm going to be sharing these next few days. So, because I can't get to it all. Keep in mind, I yesterday was when I found out about it. I printed the document from Joe Madison, Sirius XM. He put it on his page so that people could access it about the MAGA GOP, which is the MAGA Republican Party. This is not your grandmother, your grandfather Republican Party, your mother, father Republican Party. In fact, many Republicans are walking away from this party because it's just not what it used to be. So let me go on and do the first readout this morning. This is readout number 1, okay? This is information that I'm sharing, so bear with me. It says here in this document, listen to me closely. Ahead of the midterm elections, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Republican of California, plans to announce a commitment to America. But instead, he and other Republicans have made a commitment to the extreme MAGA agenda. This agenda includes overturning the Inflation Reduction Act, repealing the Affordable Care Act, cutting federal education funding, banning abortion nationwide, and ending Social Security and Medicare as we know it. It says here, they have already seized judicial majorities that have rolled back abortion rights and impeded gun legislation, and they are looking to solidify control of the judicial branch by blocking President Joe Biden's nominees. They are even set to push the extreme conservative legal theory that state legislatures, not the voters, should decide who wins the presidency. Listen to that close. They are even set to push the extreme conservative legal theory that state legislatures, not the voters, should decide who wins the presidency. This extreme policy agenda does not just exist in right-wing echo chambers. In fact, House Republicans leadership and the majority of the GOP caucus have demonstrated that they support it. Their agenda would have tangible effects on regular people. Here is what happens to real Americans under extreme MAGA Republican policies. Cutting Social Security and Medicare, that's number 1. Senator Rick Scott of Florida, Republican of Florida, chair of the National Republican Senatorial Committee and in charge of winning back the Senate for Republicans, released and defended a plan that includes a proposal to put every federal law on the chopping block after 5 years. including Medicare and Social Security. Meanwhile, Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin said earlier this year that Social Security and Medicare, if you qualify, you just get it no matter what the cost. We ought to turn everything into discretionary spending so it's all evaluated. Blake Masters, who is running for the U.S. Senate in Arizona, proposed privatizing Social Security this summer. Senator Marco Rubio, Republican of Florida, has suggested the same. New Hampshire Republican Senate candidate Don Bolduc proposed cutting Social Security by $2 trillion, and the Republican Study Committee, which comprises the vast majority of the Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives, released a budget document that plans to cut Social Security. Now, going on, 58.6 million beneficiaries could lose affordable health coverage if MAGA Republicans succeed in cutting Medicare. Let me say that again, because these people are not playing. 58.6 million beneficiaries who could lose affordable health coverage if MAGA Republicans succeed in cutting Medicare. Okay. Among older adults, Social Security cuts poverty from 38% to 9%. 97% of older adults receive or will receive Social Security. If a future Republican Congress could cut Social Security, 70 million older or disabled Americans could lose the certainty of their monthly Social Security check, which they spent their careers paying into. Moreover, millions of people who are the survivors of dependence of older or disabled Americans would lose this crucial support. In fact, 1 million children are lifted out of poverty each year by Social Security alone. And if MAGA Republicans succeed in cutting Medicare, as many as 58.6 million beneficiaries could lose the assurance of affordable health coverage. Next, banning abortion nationwide post-Dobbs. Okay, that's the next thing they want to do. That's number 2. Last week, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham introduced a nationwide abortion ban. Key GOP House leaders, including Minority Leader McCarthy, back a nationwide ban. Former Vice President Mike Pence has been advocating for a national ban all summer. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, said a nationwide abortion ban is possible. Former U.S. Secretary of State and likely GOP presidential candidate Mike Pompeo made it clear that his goal is to make abortion illegal nationwide. And 164 House Republicans and 19 Senate Republicans, 78% and 38% of the House and Senate Republican caucuses respectively co-sponsored a complete abortion ban with no exceptions. Those numbers rise to 46 Senate Republicans and 169 House Republicans for legislation that enacts a 20-week abortion ban. Okay? Under a nationwide ban, 64 million women and girls in the United States between the ages of 15 and 44 would lose their right to an abortion. Let me read that again right quick. Under a nationwide ban, 64 million women and girls in the United States between the ages of 15 and 44 would lose their right to an abortion. Nearly half live in states that have already banned abortion or are poised to do so. A ban would criminalize doctors and rob women and all people who can become pregnant of their basic bodily autonomy, while forcing people through unnecessary, incalculable pain, hardship, and trauma. This could also mean worse economic outcomes for women and families. A recent Center for American Progress report that compared states with and without abortion bans noted that states that have at least one abortion ban on the books, predominantly in the Midwest and Southern United States, have some of the worst economic outcomes for women and families. Denying women an abortion will only worsen this state of affairs. Women who were forced to carry a pregnancy to term experienced a wide range of negative financial consequences, including lower credit scores, increased debt, and more negative public financial records, such as bankruptcies and evictions. In addition to the impact on women themselves, the study showed that these restrictions are associated with worse child developmental outcomes and a greater likelihood of child poverty. Let's keep going. This could also affect the gender pay gap. According to CAP, additional studies have found that laws restricting access to abortion widen the gender pay gap for women of childbearing age by pushing them out of the labor force and into lower paying jobs. Okay, continuing. State economies could also lose billions of dollars. According to the Institute of Women's Policy Research, state-level abortion restrictions cost state economies $105 billion per year by reducing labor force participation and earnings levels and increasing turnover and time off from work among women ages 15 to 44 years. Pharmacists could also refuse to provide medications if they suspect they are being used to end a pregnancy. This could mean denying women access to treatments to ectopic pregnancies as well as cancer, migraines, arthritis, and many other conditions. That's the second thing that this MAGA GOP is targeting, okay? Number one on the chopping block is Social Security. Number two is abortions. Number three, follow me closely, overturning the Inflation Reduction Act. This is important for those of you and myself, because this is they want to take away the low cost that we have right now and that we're experiencing right now with insulin, that in the Inflation Reduction Act, they want to overturn that because they want insulin and other medication to go back up. So listen to me closely here. This is important, people. We don't have time to play. We don't have time to sit on the sideline. So I'm going to keep moving to give you this information. Overturning the Inflation Reduction Act. Listen to me. Minority Leader McCarthy has promised to put an end to Build Back Better. After the Inflation Reduction Act passed, the House of Representatives, Representative Chip Roy of Texas said, we should commit to repealing this bill on day one. He also noted that if Republicans gained a majority in the House, they would come in on day one and say, we're going to shut this government down, shut it down. If the Inflation Reduction Act is repealed, here is how everyday Americans would lose out. Okay? Families could lose more than $1,000 in savings per year with repealed clean energy and electric vehicle tax credits. Households could lose $14,000 in rebates to buy energy efficient home appliances, which would cost families at least $350 per year. Installing rooftop solar could become prohibitively expensive for 7.5 million families without the 30% tax credit, costing families at least $300 per year. Families would lose out $7,500 in tax credits for new electric vehicles and $4,000 for used electric vehicles, providing families from saving $950 per year in fuel costs. Carbon pollution would be 1 billion metric tons higher in 2030, multiplying the effects of the climate crisis, devastating extreme weather in particular on all families. Medicare would be unable to negotiate lower prescription drug prices for up to 7 million Americans. An estimated 50 million seniors and people with disabilities could have to pay more than $2,000 per year in out-of-pocket pharmacy cost. Eliminating, listen to me here, this is crazy, eliminating the insulin price cap for Medicare beneficiaries could force 3.3 million people to pay more than $35 per month for insulin, missing out on more than $500 in annual savings. ACA subsidy expansion could disappear. That's the Affordable Care Act. Could disappear, which would cost 13 million Americans about $800 per year on health insurance premiums. Without investigations in the Affordable Care Act, 3 million more people could lose affordable health coverage. I've got family members on the Affordable Care Act, so I know it works. That would be horrible if they took that away. Corporations with more than $1 billion in profit could once again get away with paying no taxes if the Inflation Reduction Act 15% minimum corporate tax were repealed. Next, ending the ACA. They want that gone. Republicans have been trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act since it became law. Asked last week if repealing the Affordable Care Act would be a priority should Republicans control the House, Freedom Caucus Chair Representative Scott Perry Republican of Pennsylvania, said the Affordable Health Care Act made health care unaffordable. Republicans have to be the champion of people being involved in their own health care decisions and their own health care prices. So far, that's not how it's been. So we're going to absolutely have to take a look at it. In addition, the Republican Study Committee outlined a repeal and replace scheme in their fiscal year 2023 budget proposal over the summer. This is if they take over the Senate and the Congress. These people are not playing. Calling the ACA a failed federal experiment. But repealing the signature health care law would have serious consequences for tens of millions of people. Some 35 million people could lose affordable comprehensive health care coverage. About 21 million adults could lose access to Medicaid. Approximately 135 million Americans with pre-existing conditions could lose their health insurance or be charged more for coverage. Families would buy coverage on their own would lose $2,400 in financial help toward premiums every year. The richest 0.1% of Americans would get an annual tax cut averaging nearly $200,000. Drug companies would get a combined $2.8 billion tax cut. Let me read that again. I don't think y'all getting this. The richest 0.1% of Americans would get an annual tax cut averaging nearly $200,000. Listen to me closely. Drug companies would get a combined $2.8 billion tax cut. Y'all better listen to me. Cutting federal education funding. I'm trying to get through as much of this as I can this morning. That's the next thing they want to do. Cutting federal education funding. The right wing has wanted to abolish the U.S. Department of Education since it was created in 1979. Senator Rick Scott's plan says it plainly. Listen to me closely. We will close the Federal Department of Education. The Republican Study Committee budget says, okay, the federal government should not use taxpayer dollars to manipulate school districts around the country. Education should be managed at the state, local, and family levels where parents can be most empowered to be involved in their children's education. Education should not be controlled by, listen to me, by liberal bureaucrats in Washington who want to impose radical woke ideology on children. All that foolishness. The committee also proposes eliminating funding for K through 12 school improvement, after school, and other critical programs. As at a Trump rally on September 17th, that's this year, y'all. At a Trump rally on September 17th, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia said that if the government wants to replace parents and brainwash our children, well, you know what? We will just defund the Department of Education. Now, she just said this on September 17, 2022. Defunding the department could put the equivalent of 433,000 teacher positions at risk of elimination. Roughly 14% of the teacher workforce, if those positions were cut, more than 7 million students could be affected by the loss of one of those teachers, which would exacerbate existing teacher shortages in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let me go a little further. I'm trying to really get through this today. We will close the Federal Department of Education. U.S. Senator Rick Scott. Moreover, 25 million students in schools with high rates of poverty, more than the total population of Florida, would lose $16.5 billion of annual Title I funding. These resources provide financial assistance to school districts with high levels of children from low-income families to help ensure that all children have access to a quality education. Defunding the Department of Education could have serious consequences for students and teachers across the country. Some 7 million students, roughly the total population of Virginia, could lose aid for post-secondary education. including the 34% of all undergraduate students who receive Pell Grants. An estimated 3 million children and students with disabilities, more than the total population of Arizona, would lose $14 billion used every year to ensure that they receive a quality education. At least 781,000 students from military families, Native American students, students living in the U.S. territories, and students living on federal property of Native American lands would lose $1.4 billion per year for their schools. At least 4,200 rural school districts would lose more than $185 million used annually to help improve the quality of teaching and learning in many hard-to-staff schools. Okay? But listen, after they want to do all of this, now let me read to you what they want to do to help, but not us everyday people. More tax breaks for wealthy and big corporations. That's what they want. Let me read this right quick. Minority Leader McCarthy's so-called commitment to America says that Republicans will continue proven pro-growth tax policies. The Republican Study Committee's budget would eliminate the estate tax, repeal clean energy tax credits, and would lock in a reduction in the top individual income tax rate for the super rich. It opposes the corporate minimum tax and builds up the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, which prioritized the super wealthy and corporations. The budget also called the corporation minimum tax for business that make more than $1 billion in profits, a direct tax hike on wage growth. With this tax plan, millionaires could see extended tax cuts worth $36,000 per year, and multimillionaire estates could continue to see a tax cut of up to $4.8 million. A lot of money. They looking out for the wealthy now, not you and I, for the wealthy. In conclusion, I was able to get through all of it. In conclusion, while Minority Leader McCarthy may try to get his candidates to campaign on safe-sounding, moderate concepts such as a strong economy, a safe nation, a free future, and an accountable government, the extreme MAGA GOP agenda is out in the open. Low taxes for corporations and the super wealthy, cutting Social Security and Medicare, a nationwide abortion ban, cutting federal education funding, and repealing the ACA and the Inflation Reduction Act. These are the real stated goals of the MAGA Republicans, both in office and candidates. This MAGA agenda is packaged with an assault on free and open elections and the radicalization of the judicial branch. Take, for example, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, a Republican of Virginia, seen by some as a moderating force, the Republican who wants to end the Trump era. He was elected last year as a business-friendly Republican who used safe-sounding words similar to Minority Leader McCarthy's. Yet, as Governor Youngkin is taking away trans kids' rights in Virginia public schools and campaigning for extreme MAGA GOP candidates across the country. As Jamel Bull, Boule, puts it, even this more polished and astonishingly moderate Republican politician sees that in today's MAGA GOP, there is no path to power that doesn't treat election deniers and their supporters as partners in arms. Republicans may pretend at moderation, but their stated goals prove the dangerous nature of the MAGA agenda. I didn't think I was going to get to it all, but let me tell y'all something. You can sit here and play if you want to. You can take this lightly if you want to. We are in the fight of our life for democracy. We're in the fight of our lives. We don't have time to sit on the sideline. I have read you a 6-page document. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-page document. I didn't make this up. This is what the Republicans want to do if they take power. If they take power. See, people running around here trying to support something they don't even know. You can't just hurt one group of people. These people are trying to hurt from 0 to 100. That's everybody. 0 to 100. This is not your grandmother, your grandfather Republican Party. Listen to me closely. These MAGA Republicans, Marjorie Taylor Greene just said the other day, she just said, we are not the old Republican Party. That's not us. We are the Trump Party. That's who we are. And we are going to take over even deeper the Republican Party. They pushed out 2 Republicans for standing up for what was right. Adam Kissinger and what's her name? Liz Cheney, for standing up for what's right. And they got more on their list. And that is why these people that want to do right are afraid. And they're going along with this stuff. Because if we sit back in this crucial election that we got right now, that's right in the front of us, and sit it out, shame on us. Because now you've got the information. This is the information. I wasn't just reading from a piece of paper. This is the actual document. I'm going to try to see about getting it on my Facebook page. I don't know how well it can be read, but some kind of way, I'm going to try to see about getting it on there. These are some key points. Cutting Social Security and Medicare. You're going to take from the elderly. You're going to take from the disabled. You're going to take from people that worked all their life to get to a point. Come on, people. Shutting down the Department of Education. Busy trying to take away women's rights. Let me tell y'all something. We overturned the Inflation Reduction Act. But you still after you want to do all of this, you want to look out for the wealthy. I'm tired. I'm just tired. I'm just tired of people sitting back as if nothing is going on. Tired of people dodging the conversation of early election, of the midterms. I'm just tired of people saying voting don't matter. When people say voting don't matter, I just showed you voting matters. I just showed you, read to you what these people want to do. What is it going to take? So you willing to let them, you're just going to sit back and let them take from you. From this foolish propaganda of, oh, voting doesn't work. It's crazy. My vote don't count. That's crazy. You might say it don't count. Guess what? They know it counts. These MAGA Republicans know it counts. So in my readout, I didn't think I was going to get through the whole thing this morning, but as I was reading, I was able to get through. I'm grateful for that. I pray to God that you get this understanding. I don't come on here to bash nobody, but I am passionate. I am passionate about elections. I am passionate about policies. You know, I'm passionate about that because I got more time behind me than I got in front of me. And I got some grandkids I'm going to leave behind one day. And they are the future. You ought to care at least right now about your grandmothers and your grandfathers and your mamas and your dad and other people who got to have Social Security. You ought to at least care enough about them to get up and get out to the polls. You ought to care enough about your children getting an education. They talking about even cutting Pell Grants. A lot of you can't afford to pay for college, your children's college. You need that. Aftercare program. They talking about doing away with Department of Education. Come on, y'all. What's wrong with us? We just sitting back nonchalant, like nothing going on. I just heard this morning, Georgia, over 1 million have already voted in Georgia. And I pray that Texas rise up, and every day we need to be getting at least 300,000. I know we have in the last 2 days. Let's keep the momentum going. We are fighting for a reason. We are fighting for democracy. These people are serious. They want to take away from everyday people and give to the wealthy. And then something else they said on day one. When they get in, if they win office, if they take over the Congress and the Senate, they are going to impeach Biden and Harris. They already saying it. They already saying it. And you got people running around here hating people. Ooh, I don't like them, so I'm going to just stand with the Republicans. Always remember this, if you don't remember nothing else. You cannot just hurt one people without hurting a multitude. And these things that they want to put in place, that's going to hurt a multitude of people. I got family that's on the Affordable Care Act. And really need it. It's not no game. Insurance is not no game. And it's some of us right now that's okay right now that don't have to use it, but one day you might have to. They're talking about overturning and getting rid of the Inflation Reduction Act that lowers prescription costs. I've said enough this morning. I really wanted to get that out there to you, so I did this readout. I promised myself I would get up this morning and get it done. And I thank God I was able to get it done. Get out here and vote, people. Vote like your life depends on it. Because it does. We got elections right here in Galveston County. You got people on the ballot all over Texas who want to do the right thing. The campaign I worked on with William H. King III, who's trying to get in office and for the betterment as Galveston County judge. Get out here and support him for the betterment of Galveston County, where they're over here going up on our taxes like crazy. Going up on our taxes like crazy over here. Appraising houses for more than what they really are, just to go up on your property taxes. And it's not just happening here in Galveston County, it's happening all over. I had a lady that's retired from the education system who shared with me, we are in trouble. The schools are in trouble. And they would be worse. They would be worse if we let these people get in place. And I'm talking about professionals who are saying this. You got to listen to the people who doing the job. Stop all this name calling. Stop all looking down your nose because somebody else don't like a candidate, you don't like them. If that person is doing what's right and good for you, you need to support them. I know William H. King III running for Galveston County judge. I know he right for Galveston County. And I know we ought to give him a chance. Because the one we got in there right now isn't doing anything. Many people are saying they don't even know him, and I'm one of them. And people who do know him say he's nothing nice. I don't know the man. I ain't never seen him. I ain't never heard from him. But I know my taxes is off the chain. I know that. Y'all have a good day. I hope that this helped you this morning. The readout this morning, I hope it helped you. And I hope you would share it with someone, this video, that people can be informed. Everything I do is about information. Everything. Getting information out to people. I know it was a long reading, but I thank you for listening. Please pass this video on to others so that people will know the importance of where we're at right now in democracy. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.